I know. We were back. Can't really get around to figure it out, but.
The later day,
We'll have you in the home.
the later day, you know, the school board there, the later day, you know, you from the school board meetings, you're right in front and center there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm like, fun too.
Bad attention.
Okay. Yes. This time, there's a me student, after my consider. No, bravo. I wouldn't blame them. It's not gonna be much of a presentation without.
Yes, no kidding. It's the first.
Yeah.
Well, Chuck, no, well, not vacation, we'll have them in the children health week, that's never happened.
I've never.
And I'm really surprised, because one of the parents was so thrilled about it. Oh.
Clint's not coming, he has pneumonia.
Oh, man. Hey, Kathy,
No.
were you with me when Cheryl was asking me about the
Legitimate excuse.
The one that she was showing, was that because of Keith?
Yep.
I think we knew the doctors.
We don't do words. Yeah. We
What I do is I know.
are like this when she goes to recognize it, that we can recognize her, I think, even maybe in the next 4 meetings, I think her parents would.
Yeah, her parents would be here.
What I've done in the past is when
I know.
they have the president, I actually will do a ceremony in the office for them, but,
And we can do the all together, I mean, and we can do it when we did the elementary awards.
Yeah.
this is.
We can see if they get here.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Chuck.
I'll have her parents come to elementary awards.
Okay.
Maybe you
Good,
can come out
good.
here.
You want to know what it is, I'll try to do that.
Okay. Yeah, so we go. I know, it's so fun.
Rest of you, I've been telling every time that happens. Nerves just feeling.
Okay, welcome, everyone. Shall we get our meeting called to order? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning.
Right. See the agenda up there. And I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Moved, seconded, all in favor? Everyone? Student of the Month Awards. Seems how we have no students or family members here.
This is, I gotta say, that on a personal note, it's a little bit disappointing for me because
Yeah.
Matthew Morris, in my 3 years here, that young man, my first year was a terror. I mean, he was a handful, but then it's black. Anyway. But, he's now an 8th grader and he has come full circle. And literally, each of the last 3 months, he's been nominated. And two of them, he probably would have been selected, but the same week that we were deliberating, he had detentions for just screwing around. Just being himself, and he's not a horrible kid, he just doesn't, his filter's a little broken. But, and so.
I know some parents
And
like-
literally, one time I went to his detention, I said, dude, you can't with me, man. And,
Might be one.
oh, this is, well, she's actually the teacher who nominated me. Then how she. No, one of the students came. Yeah, so I was just telling about Matthew, actually. Yeah. And, but each of the last 3 months, and so this last month, you know, I mean, when we get these nominations, we read them for who the kids are and actually what the content of the nomination says. And Matthew, you have to do that, the buckets. Obviously, it's great, you got it, but anyway. Too bad you're not here. It's so dumb, it's too bad.
Yes.
It's a shame,
I
yeah.
mean, we can table it till later in the meeting and the.
Yeah, we could always do that.
Come on.
Matter of fact, I would really like that if any parent were to show up, we just look for it.
Yeah.
But I just found out, in conversation with Kathy, that one of the letters came back.
One of
Okay,
the
so
letters.
like, I call the parents myself. And like in the case of Emmett Allard, I talked to his mother, Holly, and she was just thrilled. And I said, and I'm sending the letter with all the details in it. She goes, that'll be great. She goes, I totally forget. And so, bring it for she, goes, really, but it does just that, but anyway. So, if somebody should go, I say you just stop what we're doing and celebrate.
Okay, we will do that. Okay. Our board meeting report.
So yes, the charter board just met, and they approved their bylaws to go forward. Yeah, that was, really nice. We also had, one of the components in the bylaws that, that's new, that this group doesn't necessarily know about. The charter board felt that, when we require our students to do community service, that we should be mirroring that ourselves. And so, so they actually put in their bylaws that, every year they will do at least 20 hours community service themselves. And they have a tracking log that they'll do that and keep track of that stuff and hold each other accountable for that as well.
It's just attending their meetings
Yeah.
9 times a year, kind
Yeah,
of.
well, and so they, I think they just wanted the students have really become a big part of that group. Honestly, that group, Laura, you've seen it evolve over time. Would you agree that their role is really done to be different, and they have a lot more voice there than they used to have. Even when they first started, they're so kind of quiet, but now they kind of come prepared. Even one student who wasn't going to be able to be there today, she still had a written submission for her report. And we didn't ask her for it. She just felt obligated to say it. Anyway, so, but outside of that.
So what do they do with the bylaws at this point?
So that's just,
So,
that's just exactly how they govern themselves. That is all it is. It doesn't really affect you guys. While you guys doing your contract, their bylaws just have all on, so that there's not anything in those bylaws that are gonna state anything differently from what you guys want them to be doing. And so by having your contract in place first, and all we do is have bylaws line that. They're not gonna get you.
so we don't have to approve them?
No, we don't have to.
Oh, but yeah, do you get to at least see them?
No, sure, sure, yeah.
Everything.
I'll share them.
You might sure.
So I'll send you guys copies of it. And if you have opposition to any of that.
Too bad, just that? No.
Yeah, too bad. I'll send those out to you guys.
All right. Public input. Right, discussion item, the student athlete of the year and handbook development. So it's been a while since we've talked about the athlete of the year award, so did the committee have an opportunity to meet? Okay,
We
perfect.
had met last Wednesday and then we will be planning on meeting on this Wednesday as well. Okay, the 13th, right?
I thought it was Tuesday, but.
15th,
Huh?
15th, 15th. Wednesday.
Fun day.
Oh.
Hmm.
Is it Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Yeah. At like four, what time is it again? I wrote it down, I can't see where I wrote it.
Rhiannon couldn't think of it.
Like, what time is it again?
7.
7, okay. I'll get where I can see it.
At 7 o'clock on Wednesday.
Okay.
15th.
So where are we at is, I'm assuming that's why James is here.
What we came up with was, we didn't get a link to it. Can I put a link on the agenda?
You can email it to me, or you can ask, if you can add it, you can. Yeah.
You want rights.
I don't know, let me see if I do.
Kind of nice to not have rights. I'm just saying.
You have rights,
I do?
Bob organized lady.
I just gave it to you.
There were times I intentionally did not get trained on things in my office, just so I didn't have to be the point person. For one more thing.
I know.
Oh, good.
See if that
He's not
works.
here, huh?
Now I need access.
Oh,
Go.
Should I
Just
just,
denied.
I requested it, so you should get an email.
I gotta read open my email.
Or you could go to the document and add me on there.
Oh, that's even better.
Since it's open.
Yeah, so it's right there.
You know, what's nice is that he understands what she's saying and he knows how to do that.
This once.
I was working with somebody today that was needed some help technologically.
Okay,
And that, Bridgie.
Did you give me access?
I did.
That does that have access?
There.
There you go. So part of the proposal, one of the proposals was so I basically struck out student of the year. And we just would rename it athlete of the year. That's one of the proposals. And the first part of the document is just basically for the guidelines for being nominated. And you guys that were in the meeting, we can discuss this together. I've been serving, misrepresenting what we spoke about. So you gotta look through that document. It's just how the coaches would first come together, or not really come together first. This is what they would look for as far as criteria for making a nomination for the athlete of the year. That's what this kind of outlines. In the red there, it says nominations for this award will be submitted by coaches, new in documentation only, not in practice. Okay, so that's just, now I made sure that wording's in there. That's been done in the past, but it's now written down. Juniors and seniors also in red should be considered first for this award. We talked about that. There could be, with the size of our school, there could be a year when we don't have a junior or senior. And I think that actually might come up this year with the girls. So we want to have, it says that's, that the wording is should be instead of will be. Okay. Struck out to be eligible, all nominees must have, and I said to be nominated, the following characteristics should be considered by the nominating coach. They go through those.
What will be the determining factor if you were to have a girl that was eligible versus you're saying you might not? What determines whether one's eligible, a younger girl is needed to take that role on?
Yes, if there was no juniors or seniors that were even available.
Oh, okay.
But I think that, yeah, yeah, and I think that would be something that the coaches would also have to talk about. Let's say maybe there's a girl that was out for 2 sports, but maybe she was a senior, maybe she wasn't even a starter, something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was
They
asking
kind of
about.
weigh that, whether or not she was, because it says right below the struck out minimum VPA, contributed significantly to the team's season, starter, or other significant role. So that would probably be something they could look at.
Okay.
And then exhibit some or all of the following positive qualities on and off the court, and then we go down. This is a proposal, so we're getting away from the student aspect. So I didn't strike out attendance because I couldn't remember what we talked about in there. I don't remember. But the other two were struck out. If this proposal goes through, that we get rid of the student piece. So now we're looking at criteria like citizenship. And then again, keep in mind, this is not on the final form as far as scoring. This is only for the coaches to take into consideration for nomination. So citizenship, sports. I struck out in participation. I struck out must participate in at least 2 OSA interscholastic sanctioned events, basically because it was already set up above. So it's just redundant. Models great sportsmanship, and then on down. Leadership, work ethic, integrity, perseverance. So coaches see all that, they make the checks in their mind, and they say, I'd like to nominate so-and-so. Because of, checking all those boxes. Now we looked at, here's the scoring of one individual, let's say, little Joey is our person, and how they go through, they go through a number of varsity sports played. So if they were a 3-sport athlete, they get 0.75 points, and then so on and so forth. And there's the point system. I did, and you can kind of see it's kind of self-explanatory. Player of the year at the state level, POI is player of the year. And then so that's state recognition section where you can earn points. Then the next section is league recognition. All district, Laura saw that I had put that in there, so we added that. And then the team nomination, which we could talk about later with leadership sportsmanship teammate. Todd came up with the idea. Still, he wants some teeth in it for the kids to vote and have a say in the award too, which I'm not opposed to.
So on that last bullet is like, are those 5 different awards?
No, those are just things that the team would, and we haven't, and Todd has a piece that he sent me tonight.
Just as an example.
Yeah, just as an example of what we could do, but basically, the way I looked at it was a little less involved in what Todd did. I can appreciate this work because there's a lot. But my thought was the kids would be asked of your teammates who exemplified leadership, sportsmanship, yada, yada, yada.
I see.
And then they would put that person's name down.
I see.
Todd has it broken down into points, which is quite involved. I just pass these around.
Yeah, and I was kind of thinking
And
that,
I know this is just you thinking out loud, basically, so.
yeah, and that's all it is just an example of just some thoughts I had. But I was thinking kind of more or less, maybe the kids could all do that for each other. And then whoever gets nominated, because these are important characteristics of our athletes, we want the kids to think about.
Yeah, my idea was much simpler.
It is.
And my idea was to ask the team just to write a name down of who, and I went to the athletic directors conference this week and I got a whole bunch of stuff. Well, some good ideas for our programs moving forward. But one of the speakers said, it's kind of like the foxhole theory. I mean, who do you want your foxhole?
Yeah.
And the same thing could be said about, with teams. He said, who is the teammate that you want on the court with you? And I was thinking simplifying it like that when I heard that from the speaker, that the team would just say, I mean, so it'd be kind of like a teammate award, team nomination. We could just put teammate there. And then they would just write down the name and then we would tabulate, what kind of scores they got out of that, or how many times they were mentioned. That would be, let's say little Joey got five times he was named and other people were all over the place. Well, it's little Joey's gonna get that. He's gonna get that award for that sport. So that would simplify it. I think it's kind of along the same lines, without a lot of the concept here.
We just didn't want everything to be objective because some of the characteristics and attributes of good athletes, we can't really give a point system like this to.
Yes.
Charlie and I had talked about this also. We want to make sure that those attributes are recognized in the award.
And likewise, the rebuttal to that is, well, not rebuttal, but on the flip side, that's kind of the way we were before.
Right.
It was
Because it
all,
allows for some bias.
it was all
Yeah.
that way. So we're still keeping a piece of that.
Yeah, it'll
Which is how we measure
happen to the students possibly rather than the coaches. That's a possibility. That's all,
Yeah. So this is still a work in progress. Is there more? Yeah, there's more. Yeah, we can go on down unless there's any other questions. all league recognition, not already mentioned, 2 points per award. When I talked to my coaches, I think at first I had just 1 point in there, and they thought all league recognition probably, they should earn more points. So we put 2 points in there. And I met with the coaches after we as a committee had met, because they couldn't meet that night. So we actually met during, parent-teacher conferences, because that was the best time you could get everybody together. So, libero, defensive player, team player, utility pitcher, etc. There's gonna be things that the coaches will come up that I don't remember or know, especially in football. And baseball, because softball, because there's a lot of utility players and a lot of things by position. But that would be honored in all league. But if you had a student that got those, then they would just get points for those. And there can be multiple points scored there for one individual. And then academics, we talked about keeping the GPA in there, even though it's not student athlete of the year anymore. Because Todd brought up, if you look at all the points allowed, a GPA as a numeric value is very diluted in comparison to what the number of total points would be for everything else that they could have earned. So therefore, it would not be weighted like a 30 or 40% on.
And it was important to James to keep it in there, so we respect James as our athletic director, and, you know. Probably the split between the two top students for this award would be less than a point on GPA.
Could we,
I mean, most likely, you're not gonna have a student with, you're not gonna have a bigger split than 1 point probably, so it's really not that big a deal.
And then without, this is where, Laura, did you look at this?
I have not had it.
Okay, because so down, at first when we met, I only had the paragraph up there, and it's really hard to understand. If you read it really slow and think about it, it makes sense. So what I did was try to give you examples. And what it is for sports like track, wrestling, golf, and stuff that don't have all league, first team all league, all that good stuff, they still need to be recognized for their accomplishments. So what I did was I basically, like examples, a district first or second place finish would be equal to 2 points. And basically what that is equal to would be a first team all league nomination or vote, or not nomination, award. And it went up to those, all the district ones are on the left and all the state things were on the right. So it gave a numerical value to those things that were hard to put a numerical value on.
Question.
There, go ahead.
So like, if I'm, a decathlete or, you know, and I'm actually talented, right? I could literally win district and or state in multiple sports, and those would be multiple points I score.
Yeah.
Okay.
And more power to you, because I tell you what, people that are decathletes in my mind are
Yeah,
very athletic.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at. And they're athletes, run, jump,
Yeah.
you know. So then, yeah, that's broken down into those fall, winter, and spring down there would be the categories. If it was a fall sport, say in football, and they were first and second in all league and a state finish or all state, that would go in the fall category. Winter for basketball and spring for our spring sports. So that's where that's going to get. Then the last part of that is just simply the totals. Varsity sports, state recognition, and league recognition. All of those categories totaled up on the right. Then the academic piece would be the GPA. And then without the all-state section would be those things we just talked about, like your track athletes, wrestlers, and things like that. And then you come up with the total. I know that was a lot and it was quick. Anybody have any questions?
Very first paragraph.
Okay.
Up there. The award should also provide all our athletes with an opportunity to learn the, oh wait, no, before that. Yep. To encourage our student athletes to participate in multi-sport programs while maintaining excellence in the classroom.
Mhm.
But we're not making this a student athlete, and so I don't, yeah,
Well, it's probably something that I didn't strike out.
okay.
If I read it.
Very first sentence.
First sentence, last part of the first sentence.
Got you right there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Donna. Yeah. Well, like I said, this is a proposal.
We still have a meeting on Wednesday,
Yeah,
because we were still, I haven't even got a chance
I-
to stay into it after.
so this is just a proposal based off of our discussion with the committee. And this does not mean, and I believe that no, I don't believe, there is going to be a counter proposal because I'm going to bring it. This is a proposal that I believe, is brought more from the board. Am I wrong in saying that?
I think it's got a mixture of both, what you,
I didn't know that we were striking the student from it.
yeah, I didn't realize that was gonna.
Oh, I thought that was the
Well,
original.
I think we were just discussing
Okay,
what we wanted to, I didn't think we were actually like, saying we just want to strike it. But like I said, we have Wednesday to,
And I know there was a discussion I had with somebody about, because you have to maintain a certain GPA in order to just not be. Right. But that's on a what, week by week basis or?
Those are two different things. So on a week by week basis, they have eligibility, they have to manage, they can't be paid in class. GPA, is there a GPA threshold the students have to maintain a participant?
what do you mean, like our eligibility?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't be failing.
Well, but, okay, but I mean, but a GPA, I mentioned the failing, that's, but there's not a GPA requirement.
No, not written, no, it's just must be passing
is it in
all
our
classes,
handbook at all?
So if I have a 1.5.
not a GPA.
No, GPA 1.5, then I turn out to be basketball. I'm okay to play as long as I don't fail classes during the course of the season.
Yes. Yes.
So it's not a 2.0 grade, not a C average.
No, and I will tell you this, this is why, to me, it's so important that it is student athlete of the year. Because I feel like, or especially after the weekend I just had, with all the ADs in the state. And so many of these things came up and I'm like, man, that's not good, I can remember that. But we are, if you look at different schools, I hate to say this, if you look at other schools, I believe academically, our standards for eligibility are incredibly low.
I would agree.
And if you also talked to, and I know that Joe has heard this in his superintendent meetings, and it's something that comes up, and it's completely informal. Elkton, Oakland, and Days Creek are the three schools in the county that everybody thinks very highly of in all their programs. I'm talking academic, sports, everything, because of character, because of ethics, because of the way we portray ourselves, our sports, our athletes, the conduct, our schools, our expectations, our standards, everything. Yet you compare those three, and we are really low as far as our expectations for our athletes.
What does that say? I mean, I'm just wondering what the statement that makes
Do they have
is.
like a GPA block with me or their, where's their
Oakland, you have to have a C. You have to have C average.
C or above?
Yeah,
That's not.
Oh, C average?
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
yeah. Or else you can have D straight across the board. and still participate. Elkton, when I was there, I went, wow. If you're ineligible, the first check is midterm. And if you're failing a class, like we go on probation for a week. And then if they get their grades up, they can participate. At Elkton, if you're checked at midterm, you're ineligible until the quarter's over. Yeah. So that's a much higher standard than we are. I think that's a little bit, it doesn't give a kid an out. But still, if you're looking at this, this is the reason why I'm really pushing for wanting to keep the student athlete piece of it, because it's not in the scoring as much, but it is in the nomination process.
Yeah.
And that's where I want to keep it. Because you look at the ties for the athletes, we want them to be the best leaders in the school, both academically and athletically. I'm kind of going off here a little bit, but we are pretty low. We are pretty low. And I'm gonna go back to the purpose or the reason why I struck out student athlete, because at the beginning of this, when all of this happened, I have documentation where it was requested by some of you that it would not be student athlete of the year, it would be athlete of the year.
Yeah, I was talking about, you made these changes after the meeting. I don't remember in the meeting, anybody ever asking to not be student.
Yeah, we didn't make this,
request at the meeting, but I did. And I'll tell you why I did is simply because we have academic awards, in the school. And, it's like I told these guys at the meeting, I've had friends that academically, they were not, great students. They had issues. They had some learning issues and stuff, but they were great athletes. And I just think that we have a number of different types of students, and this to me is more of an athletic award. But I don't oppose leaving the title student athlete in there.
Great.
As long as we aren't walking away at the end of the giving of this award saying, our best athlete didn't get this award. And everybody knows that that was our best athlete and he didn't get this award. Because I think that defeats the purpose of a sports-oriented award. So that's the explanation there.
Okay, now that's fine, because that's easy to fix. This was just based on my assumption of what I thought we had spoken with before.
So I would be curious of what it looked like for athlete of the year, student athlete of the year last year with this criteria that we have going now. If, what the points would look like. I mean, how many extra points did they actually score? And then that figures into the GPA weighting. It's only a little bit of the score if there's a lot of points scored.
So you're saying compare our winner last year with the athletes that were up last year
With the system that we
against this
proposed
system
now.
and against this system
Yeah,
that we used
just to
last year?
see what would have happened.
Okay. I can do that. I can do that. I will tell you that when we met with the coaches, and again, that's after the fact, I wanted one of the coaches to be in the meeting with us, but none of them were available. All of them were in favor of keeping the nomination piece as academic. They were all like, we don't want to get rid of that. That would be our push would be that. Everything else, I think they agreed the point system and the way it's concrete, they all liked it. They thought that was good. But they all want to keep the academic piece, so.
Well, like anything, there's differences of opinions. That's why we have a board. That's why we vote on stuff. I mean, this is the way it's supposed to work. So everybody has openly expressed opinions on the subject, so.
And I don't think it would hurt to put in our handbook or wherever that you've got to maintain a GPA of a certain point to be
Oh, I don't,
eligible.
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Surprised that we don't have that. So.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily need to even be part of the award. I mean, it's just part of the, you have to, yeah, exactly.
That's all.
We can take care of that on the eligibility level. I have no problem with that at all.
Oh, yeah, that would be easy. If you start at the beginning of the year next year, the kids won't freak out, because they don't think it's what it was, so.
You know that's the
Do
case.
you think you would have very many ineligible students if you were
Well,
to?
even if you did, if you had a kid come with a 1.8 and your threshold was 2.0, you could still create an on-ramp for them. You could say, okay, listen, you're gonna be on probation to start the season.
Yeah.
Here's the language, I looked this up again out of Oakland's handbook, and it's got a lot of bullet points. It goes through a lot of stuff that's not related to grades, but then it says, maintain a C grade point average with no Fs during the grading system. So that's their bar. That's what they're,
During the
grading season,
Right.
during the grading season.
And that's Oakland, you said?
That's Oakland, yeah.
I love that.
That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
I have a sassy little teenager that thinks that grades are not important, but he, loves a couple sports. And if it came down to it, if it was, hey, get your grades together when you're not playing sports, I guarantee he would put more effort in.
They do, they rise to the occasion. They rise to, that's why you have somebody up there just rising to the minimum. We got a lot of kids like that.
Well, and that's it. If the minimum's 1.0,
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay to go. They don't have to do that. I applaud the notion of raising the bar. Not just because I think it's better to make things more challenging. I think that's not a bad thing. But I know students will rise. I know they will, just like you're talking about your son. I know students, when you set standards for them, they know that you're not setting standards to be mean to them. They're setting standards because you believe in them. You know that they can accomplish those things. And so I really applaud the notion of raising that bar. Start the next year with that, the handbook, wherever you set that bar, to make it higher and just articulate it out of the gate. That's the expectation we have for all of our athletes now going forward. And you're gonna find that you're gonna make it.
Now, see,
You're
and
not gonna have a riot over here with pitchforks.
so just to make sure we understand this too, because there is a way, it's better worded the way Oakland has it, if you really truly want to see average, because you can get above a C average and have a D,
Yes.
right? So it's better to do it that way, letter grade instead of GPA. Okay, so we're all clear on that.
And this is really not totally connected to the award. This is something
No, it's
that you have to do if you want to be an athlete.
Yeah.
No, I like it. That's great.
So moving forward then, I guess it's just, there's no other questions. I mean, we're just gonna meet again and just really, I think when we meet again, we should do what we're doing right here and with a shared document where we can just kind of go through it and edit it and make sure that we're okay with it and come back for the presentation.
A bit longer meeting. Let's go.
And the nice thing about this is it really is objective. You're not going to get a biased conclusion.
Yeah.
Everything is so objective in the way you laid it out.
Now, the only piece to that, I think Laura will agree with that, is that possibility that the students and their.
Yeah.
There's a few different
That's
things
one
with the
point.
APA that I actually can, that we'll talk about in meetings, see what we all feel. I was waiting about that. But
Do you guys, because, and I'm fine either way, but do you guys mind if next time we meet, if I have one coach?
No,
And me,
not at all. That'd be great. Show what we've been doing to all, so much change on
Are you gonna
wood,
let us know first?
you know?
why don't you pick one? I don't care.
I just tease them.
I would show it to all the coaches before a meeting, James.
You know, you just get around. Yeah, because Mark's gonna say, no, Greg's on record.
You said it too.
James, you ought to show what we're doing to all your coaches and get their input.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
I did right after we met, next night.
Yeah.
Their biggest thing was, like I said, was they didn't want to get rid of the student part.
Oh, that's not a problem.
There was another piece in here. Was there anything that was, because I see handbook development. What was that about?
well, I think just because we're changing anything we change is in like that handbook. I don't know
Oh,
that, but
pertaining to this,
changing
Oh,
this,
yeah.
like the.
this would be just a document that we would add to
Yeah.
them. Because I know there was a concern that the students need to see it, so we would just put this in the handbook.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Are we meeting at 7?
Yes.
7 on the 15th, Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay,
Tax day.
we'll be here.
Tax
And
day.
let's try to do it in here.
Yeah.
This.
What did you mention?
The AM or PM?
Good question, these days.
Well, I could do AM, but that'd be a hard stop at 8 AM.
And I have to be in late, so
7 PM.
we can do it at 6 AM.
I do that too.
Okay. We done, I think.
I don't think any of my coaches quit me.
Oh.
I work harder than you. 7 PM.
All right then, thank you. Appreciate that update. Touch on that. Now we have the superintendent report.
Sure, so as I told you last month, we were going to put out a request for proposals on the model leadership TAP grant that we received, $40,000 from the state. So we published that, and we had a lot of response. We haven't had any of the proposals in writing yet, but I've had a dozen to 15 different agencies reach out to me for the packet. Anyway, that's going to close on the 16th. No, I'm sorry, on the 20th. My story straight is, it closes on the 27th. That's the end of the proposal due date. So on the 4th of May, I'm going to have a district RFP review evaluation team. Okay, like we had last time. Todd and Charlie served on it when we were selecting the when we were hiring for the seismic, okay? Leah has expressed an interest in serving on it because she'd like to see what the process looks like going forward. Charlie mentioned that he was willing to work on that group. I don't know if it's of interest to you, Todd, or not, but if you'd like to, or if anybody else.
So this is RFP, what exactly is this?
So this is for the long range plan. So this actually aligns with the.
Yeah, no,
we were doing that.
yeah, I'll help with that, sure.
So what I'll do is I will send out an invitation to if anybody else would like to join us, you're welcome to as well. It's gonna take a few hours to actually go through all the reports and use a rubric for evaluating them. But that's what we do basically, is we score the evaluations to determine who we feel we should be offering the contract to. And then anybody who's interested, I will send you an invitation then, okay? Charlie, Todd, better time of the day for you guys?
No, whatever, I'm good, whatever you guys want to do.
As well.
Okay, all right.
So this is the contract for somebody to actually do the plan?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. And we have the state money that we pay for.
okay.
For a proposal.
So they'll be working off of what we've been working on in our other group.
Exactly,
It's really almost the same group, it's just
yeah,
So
Yeah,
okay.
this is choosing who we want to now go
to
forward.
do the plan.
yeah,
This is the plan straight line did last time.
exactly.
Remember how many applications we how many bids we received last time, but.
We had a couple, 2 or 3.
That ahead of us to stay on it. That was intentional by design, because the way that the TAP grant is written, we can't actually begin the work until after July 1. We can hire before then. Okay, and so if we build a little longer on ramp, we might get a few extra things in the process.
Yeah, we just really need them to be done by December 15th, no later, so we can send it to the Awesome Grant to get that forward for the bond. So that's kind of like, we can get them to start July 1st and already have someone picked out and not have to go through that waiting months to go through it now. Then that just gives us the motion on ramp.
It's actually more like 2 months by the time we get the whole timeline, so.
Save some time that way to make sure it's done.
So these are specialist type contractors that do these plans?
Yeah. And we've got 3 more TAP grants that we have, one for asbestos and one for the trusses in the gym, right? And we've got one for seismic. All 3 of those we're not going to tinker with until after July 1. Okay, but this one we want to get ahead because of how it aligns with Austin.
Mhm.
So,
Okay,
okay, so I'll send you guys an email and invitation to that little party, like cake, another one. Okay, moving on to item B, superintendent search. I think you guys are kind of in the loop on this, but I want to make sure that you are up to speed. We had 9 original candidates. We narrowed it down to 4. We interviewed the 4. We're down to 2 finalists. Those 2 finalists will join us on Thursday. We have one of those 2 interviews will be at 4:00 and the other one will be at 5:00 here. We will, after those interviews, those folks will we're gonna ask them to stay around for Night to Shine, where they will, have a chance to see what they have a little student play, from there doing some music and some art exhibits and such here. That'd be kind of fun for everybody, but it'd be a chance for the community to meet them as well. So we're blasting that out to the community so the community is aware. We'll have a box where the community can write the board some notes about their impressions, about their interactions with the candidates, so you can get a little bit of community perception that evening. And I'm asking that the board withdraw from that event back in here to examine the community input at 7:30. At that time, we will interview them the second time. We'll now have some community input. You can look at that. At that point, you've got 1 of 3 decisions to make. You can say, hey, we want that candidate to move forward. We want to hire that person or work with them to negotiate a contract, or you can determine we don't like either of them. We want to reopen. Or you can say, hey, we need to extend the timeline to really make a decision. Okay, but at that point, you should have a lot of information by that time. I sent you all an email today about questions that you may want to use in our interviews on Thursday night. Again, we have an hour set aside for each of the interviews. As you know, last time that we interviewed folks, we set aside an hour. We're using 45 minutes of it for the interview and 15 minutes to debrief. The 45 minutes, we gave ourselves 7 questions to do. okay? So what I'm telling you is I'm sending you the list of the questions that we haven't used yet from the list that you've created. I've got the ones that we use stricken out. You can see them there. So that you can see what was asked if you had forgotten. Some of us are prone to that. But from that list of remaining questions, which ones do you want to ask this next time around is what the question really is. I want you to tell me which ones do you like. And if there's one that's not there, what do you want? If there's something you want to ask and it's not on the list, share it with everybody, okay? Val may like it, Laura may like it, Charlie may not, who knows, but share your thoughts there, okay? And we'll have a little conversation electronically about those things that we want, okay?
I don't know.
What's
Are
that?
you allowed to do that?
Well, you're not voting on it. It's not for a decision. It'd be like,
But it's
your agenda.
collaboration,
We've been told them.
trying to engage in the
Make
concept.
sure we're not
We
doing
can't get
no.
forum and email or
Yeah, I know that, but we're not voting on
any discussion.
Any discussion about these
That's
candidates,
why we can't reply all.
about anything.
Yeah.
it. All right, then, never mind. All right, so,
Yeah, so you can receive everything and then email it out to us all.
yes.
And then we have to
Send-
send it straight back to you.
send
Don't
me.
reply,
Yeah.
reply all.
Yeah.
Don't.
You're not replying.
Don't reply all. Don't.
Blaming on the never.
Reply.
So you don't even want to reply. Okay.
I thought that I made certain of that every time.
I'll follow up with a do not reply all.
I do it wrong. What?
I was just trying,
Sorry.
so what I was
I know.
trying to get is I was trying to make sure that there was
Yeah.
questions that weren't on our original list.
It'd be
something you
easier
always
if we
wanted to
could,
ask.
but-
Yeah. So if something comes to mind, just throw it out there and I'll make sure everybody else sees.
So we're coming down here at 4 o'clock on Thursday, just so I get this square, and I'm gonna be here till we're done.
Grill those.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Which might, I do have
Three
a
fifty-five.
concern,
Eight.
only because somebody mentioned that there's a sit-down kind of performance that's like the first hour
Oh,
of it, which,
so, okay, so I asked about that today, because this was news to me.
okay,
I did not know this, okay? And yeah, I didn't know anything about that. There's like a 20-minute little skit is what I heard, and then some music. I didn't know that, and I don't think they're related. I don't think it's like a musical, okay? But the two different things like that. But it's not an hour long either. So I don't know, do you know any more?
I don't know, because each of my kids have class, like, are doing a class performance. And so that was per class. So I don't know if during that time, they're doing little skit or singing a song. I know that.
Yeah, it's the drama club, so there's just
Yeah.
One
Right.
skit class, and then I just know
Yeah,
the life
That's
class
what-
was supposed to sing a song, and then Mariah's class is supposed to sing a song.
okay.
So I don't know.
And what time
Is
is
Gary
it?
Clapton?
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
I don't think my class is singing a song.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
Sherry's singing a song.
so I met today with Rachel Wetzel to ask some of the details about this, because I started hearing things I hadn't heard before either. I said, hey, wait, time out, what's going on? So, she said that part should take like a half hour, is the impression that I was given. It was like a 20-minute skit, a couple songs. She didn't think it was gonna take a lot of time. But I didn't even know about that until I heard something today, so, I'll go back and verify that. I'll talk to Donnell. She'll, give me a little detail.
because she's the one who made the announcement on Sunday saying that there was about an hour of.
An hour? Okay, yeah, that's,
So,
And when did
and
it
if,
start?
and if it is an hour of sit down,
that's,
that's only 30 minutes to interact.
right, that's no time. Yeah,
So if that's the case, then we might have to push our meeting until 8 o'clock so
Right.
that we have all that time to get the
I would
information.
agree if that's the case.
So,
Yeah.
So back to the timeline, the teachers are gonna be interacting with the superintendent candidates from 12 to 4 or whatever. Is that time for us to be interacting with them, or what does that look like?
yeah, go grill them.
So, okay, I got my head on straight here. So, It's not that big a window anymore. We reduced that. we
Well,
reduced-
and I'm okay if we do that.
It's a smaller window than that.
Because one of them's coming in from like noon to
To,
Noon to two, and the other one's coming in from 2 to 4.
Or,
Yeah, so in a technical sense, yes, but not both of them. So we're trying not to have them overlap, okay? We're gonna have the gal from Tualatin here first, so that she'll have a larger window of time to go do something with her husband, who she said she wanted to bring down. So hopefully she'll get a chance to go and drive up the valley or whatever, if you go, like perhaps, I don't, whatever, any time. But, so then Stone will be, he'll do from 2 to 4. And so that,
and an interview.
yeah, and then, yeah.
So if we come in at 4, we're not gonna participate in any of that.
Well, you can come in a bit, you can
You can come in early if we want,
Yeah.
but if we come in at 4, it's gonna be straight up, we're gonna do an
Yeah,
interview.
we're jumping at 4, we're jumping into.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, 4 and 5?
But I think part of the thought was that we'd be here for the night of excellence, and that would be our interacting with
Yeah.
them, not necessarily during the school day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can do both if you want.
I'm reading it again, and it says we will be having a dress rehearsal. Does that,
We be,
Rachel Wetzel has an email, says we'll have dress rehearsal performance of the play in the gym at the start of Discovery. Does that interfere with anything? I don't think it does, but.
well, okay, so, Matt actually spoke with me about that today. It does create a problem if it rains, then it's not supposed to rain on Thursday. Then we're gonna go for weapon. So there's a 40% chance of rain.
And where are we doing interviews? Is that gonna be okay since the music teacher may need her space? Should we do it maybe in Anna's room or something?
Let me work on.
Something separated from all the loudness that could be happening around here?
They usually use this.
Or the library.
Yeah. 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 We'll work on.
And the evening of excellence is May 18th, right? That's what I'm reading, right?
Yes.
And that's not Fed.
That's totally different.
Yeah.
No,
That's
that's a different
totally
thing.
different
Totally different thing.
Totally different.
When I heard excellence, I'm thinking, what am I doing
Night to
here?
shine. A night to shine was Thursday night.
There's a lot of
Okay.
shining, because
Yeah.
prom is also something shining, and I have to mix up.
We're sparkly.
But not the shining.
No,
right?
and one is May 16th.
These are good questions, you guys.
These are hard dates for old brains.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And so, when I kick some brains tomorrow, some details, and you guys still just have that done, we'll basically.
I have one question, you guys. Am I allowed to talk to individuals in this room about these applications? Am I allowed to have conversations?
Yeah.
Okay,
Just not like 3 or 4 of us together.
okay.
Not 4 of
Not
us
four
together.
together.
3 together can, 4
Okay.
together.
I
Four
just
cannot.
wondered, because there's a couple of things I'd like to talk to a few of you about.
Sure, no, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
Thanks for warning, Todd.
no, and along with the superintendent evaluation, were you checking them out at one point, and when is that happening, and? when
Yeah,
is that
we're
report?
currently doing that. As a matter of fact, I was on the phone with Holly. So Holly and I are, okay, so, we're doing some background. I don't want to share in a public meeting, our findings, okay? So, but I will share with you what we find. And tomorrow I'm gonna be in Prospect, okay? So I'm gonna be having breakfast up there, kind of communing with the community up there and getting a little bit deeper on some things up there. And I've got Holly and I both are waiting for calls back from, Lake Oswego area. On some things that some deeper questions, but that is happening.
Okay.
Yeah, and all the other references in the call. So, yeah, so that's what is happening.
And are you gonna present that to the?
Oh, yeah, we'll fill you in.
Okay,
Yeah.
His little secret.
Yeah. we'll fill you in.
I'm just trying to get my timing being down, there's a lot happening.
Yeah. Well, I'm really bad.
I agree.
And I'm thinking that we should be meeting
This week's over.
here around 3:30. The interview's at 4, we should be
Yeah,
meeting at
yes,
3:30.
yes,
So
we should be meeting,
kinda-
whatever room we just.
Yeah,
3:30.
Joe's off.
3:30. Plan to be here somewhere on campus by 3:30.
3:30 on Thursday.
Okay,
Okay.
next.
Transportation issues with emergency release article
How
7.
did you think?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I
did a few times.
Not good. So on April 7th, we lost electricity.
Yeah.
We lost electricity. That's thinking great, right?
Mhm.
What a day. And so, so just as a reminder, when we lose electrical here, that also means we lose water. Okay, and it means after 20 to 23 minutes, we lose internet and telephone. So we got a 20-minute window to make a decision on what we're gonna do. Okay, so what we originally do is our protocol is we reach out to the a utility company to find out what's going on. If they can give us guidance, we take that guidance. This particular time we called and they said, "You got what?" They had no idea what was going on. Okay, so that told me they have no idea what's going on and we have no idea if it's even gonna ever come back on. So the next call was immediately to transportation, which was, we need an emergency bus departure from school because we know what happens here when we don't have water and the lights are on. It is bad, okay? And so transportation said, we don't have buses. We don't have any way to transport your students home.
They were already picking up cell phone kids, so it wasn't,
Yeah, so you have to keep hearing,
Yeah, yeah.
or what parents something.
And so that's why we did the text out to parents saying, hey, if you can, pick them up, please come do that, okay? Which fortunately for us on that particular day, ended up working out as far as coordination with parents that were able to come. It wasn't as bad and as chaotic as it could have been. But my concern is transportation not living up to their end of the contract, which basically says they will provide those type of services in those type of situations.
did you get a text?
Well, I didn't have power at my house, so I didn't get text.
I was just wondering because I was kind of in and out of service, I didn't get a text.
Okay.
It's just a phone call, that's fine.
I didn't get that either.
I didn't get that.
Didn't work.
Okay, so,
I actually got service of that,
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
so,
so there might be some more.
Brianna, where do you live? Just out of curiosity.
Woods Creek.
Up to Spring Road.
District rate.
Oh, okay, yeah, you wouldn't have. Yeah, so we understood it was as far down at least as the cutoff.
Yeah.
That there's no power, but anyway. So, so last year when we lost power, we tried holding on to the kids and it was bad. Because we had like a porta potty with a line, I mean, it was not a good thing. Anyway, and every child now wants to go to a water fountain, yeah, so, then on Thursday, when we had a scheduled half day,
That's what I've heard the most about.
they were not prepared to come get our kids on time.
Oh,
Yeah, they did not send the buses. We reached out and said, hey, I'm looking for big yellow things, not seeing them. And they go, what are you talking? They said, and then, this has been on the calendar all year long. I mean, just on their end for planning. But once again, they weren't prepared. And we had one bus show up. Okay, I'll get this wrong. I'm not going to say the times, but they trickled in about 20 to 25 minutes apart.
They were never here together.
Yeah.
That's rough.
And yeah.
I was with a parent from, they sent their kid from Canyonville. I was with that parent as this was all going down, and they had no idea that it was a half day. They had zero idea that it was a half day. They're like, how did I know? And it's an elementary kid. Like, well, did they send something home in their pack, in their folder? They're like, we didn't see anything in the folder. We didn't, I'm like, well, did you get a phone call or a text from school, anything? And they were pretty upset because they had to call because they were both working. She had to call her, boyfriend to come run down and get her. Luckily, he was able to at the time, but normally
I didn't
wouldn't.
know there were conferences.
I didn't either until I saw the Facebook.
That, I don't have Facebook.
Yeah, see,
Social
exactly.
media.
But I thought like the night before, so I don't know how else to get it out better.
Well, we've got to do better than that, that's for sure.
It's like the reverse phone calling, the phone calling thing,
Yeah.
and texting is probably the best. But
Same thing with Evening of Excellence. My kid was nominated for Evening of Excellence a couple years ago. No idea.
Oh.
So the only reason why I knew Evening of Excellence is because I'm here.
Yeah.
But,
Wow.
otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, so I was with somebody when that happened with their kid, and I'm like, oh, well, if I hadn't just, because Facebook sometimes throws things down, if I hadn't have randomly seen that the night before, I wouldn't have even known. You know,
That's
I have the calendar.
Yeah.
At my fingertips.
Parent-teacher conferences, you would get something in the mail saying, hey, there's parent-teacher conferences.
Yeah, they didn't know about conferences either. The kid,
Sure.
which I don't know if it was their fault or not. I'm just saying I was with someone when this
Right.
happened.
Right.
Well, it could have been they sent it home and they didn't know when the
Even,
folder.
even though it's on the school calendar, we should do a better job of communicating.
I feel like we have that
Yeah.
resource to
Yeah.
do the phone calling out and we, doesn't cost every time we do it more, right? I think we need to use it more because I feel like that gets to them more than anything else.
Yeah, because it can be set up to do a phone call, a text message, and an email.
Yeah, and so if you hit all those things and somebody's like, well, I didn't know, you're like, well, we tried these different things, smoke it out, you know.
I'll speak to the office about
But I'm just, yeah,
that, or this week, so I don't know.
That's why I was looking through my phone again to see.
so I looked through mine when she was upset about it, I was like, well, I didn't see anything that I got anywhere, I didn't get a text, and I didn't.
I got a text about early release.
About early release, yeah, I got one about early release, I got an email about early release, I didn't
The
for.
emergency rooms, the emergency
The
rooms.
emergency one I didn't get because I was here and we didn't have internet and I wasn't in service.
Oh, I see.
So I didn't get voicemails or texts when I'm not in service area.
Early release was one of the concerns the parent you were talking to had, that they didn't get.
Yeah.
So,
They were more concerned with
The text message about early release went out Thursday morning at
Yeah.
7:24.
Yeah.
So it was just the day of, there was nothing.
yeah, so, and so they said that that wasn't enough time,
Same day.
and they didn't,
Probably
they didn't
should-
check their, because they were already at work and didn't check their
Right.
email,
we should be.
emails at work.
Before the day of.
They were for the day of would be nice, it would be a little bit of a plan.
Yeah.
I know that elementary sent it out to every elementary student.
Yeah.
So,
Folders. and-
Yeah.
Folders. That's why I asked her, did you check the folder, because usually there's a letter in the folder, and
That's your act, send out the letter. It has all in their newsletter,
Yeah.
they've been sending out in the folders, yeah.
not
Um,
every day.
so I put it on item, on my report here because I'm concerned about, we have a new director in transportation. Okay, and and I think she's well-meaning. But this is a person who I think is intersecting with a new job and new challenges and limited resources, and has now to combat this massively changing schedule between the two districts, which collide, do not work in concert. You can see that going all the way back to September when we got our first billing for special ed transportation. We're going, what in the world? I mean, it's not seamless like it used to be, and there's some issues with that. So I wanted this body to know that I'm gonna reach out to First Student, and I'm gonna be speaking to them about remedy this, because we have a contract with them to deliver services, not to leave us high and dry just because somebody took the buses before we got there.
Yeah.
That's not satisfactory, and they know it. When we had issues in the fall, we had a situation, I can't remember exactly, but we didn't have the bus that we were supposed to have. I reached out to them and they immediately brought a bus down from Portland because they knew that they were in the wrong. Okay? And this is them in the wrong again. And it's just not satisfactory. Anyway, so I just wanted you to know that I'm gonna kind of kick that hornet's nest a little bit because that's not adequate service. So, yes, that was my
It's really good
example.
enough that we should have it in this.
Right?
The buses, I don't think they need drivers too. I mean, it's just.
But we can.
Again, there's not a problem, though,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so it's right in the contract that they provide those services, so they have to take
We
it.
had drivers assigned to us here.
We do, but so this is their mismanagement on Thursday of last week, because those drivers were available. They were just not informed.
We're not.
Yeah.
Because we have our buses
Yeah.
here
Yeah,
and we have our own
Yeah.
drivers assigned
and
to
those drivers, so one of them was just across the bridge, okay, so they were here like 20 minutes, still 20 minutes late. I
We
mean,
don't have to be at work till
You know,
3 and.
yeah,
then-
I mean, just, 200 kids running around, no thing to do, to each other, not a problem. So, yeah, and the other ones were as many as 45 minutes late.
But along with that transportation issue, I mean, how hard is it to get at least a generator on our water pump or whatever that,
Right.
I mean, I know that's bare minimum, but that would be helpful, especially when it's light outside, but.
And with the phones, You said you have like 20
1
minutes?
minute.
And then do we still have a landline here?
No,
That's
'Cause
it.
I thought we had talked about trying to keep one for just such occasions and
I didn't
then,
know this.
so we need to at least have backup for,
so,
well, we have to figure something out.
yeah,
and that-
yeah, no, well, that's the
That
generator.
Somebody can cut our power and do whatever they want here, pretty,
Right.
with 20 minutes and do whatever they want here, and there's no
That
communication.
15
It's all-
minutes is the backup generator. It
Yeah.
gives for how much power it's pulling for the internet. That's how long we have. That's the battery.
That's our current
I
backup.
think we need
That's
to.
that, and that costs 5,000. That's why.
We have you can get a landline, I mean, that is.
Yeah.
We have one.
That works half the time.
Everyone's-
The most, I don't know, but I still have mine. We do need to figure something out in those situations because that's
That's
not
happened
okay.
twice, or at least 3 times now.
So really, the landline and the bathrooms, the water in the bathroom are the two main issues, the communications and students being able to use the bathroom.
Frankly, the water is the biggest one, because I'll tell you what, I mean, if we suddenly had just a blizzard roll in, and the buses don't get here, I mean, that water is, that's such a huge deal. I mean, you can't get your mind around our water usage issues. And for it to just stop cold turkey it's a game changer.
It's gonna have to be part of this planning we're doing.
Yeah.
The water's gonna have to get
Or the
solved.
budget,
Yeah.
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 Leah's on it.
Leah's all over it. We've had the conversations about, it. She told me no, but okay, then the last thing on this list, is I just wanted you to know about, we were recognized by this magazine called Lux Life, okay? For a private education award for 2026, recognizes DCCS as the leading charter school for academic excellence and student growth in Oregon in 2026, which is nice of them. Lux Life is a British magazine. Okay. Anyway, I'll take the kind words and move on. But, anyway, I just thought that was, it at least deserves mention.
What do
Are
they
you
care
sure you
about,
want to be?
what do they care about the United States and Oregon?
Lux Life is a magazine about actually high-end products and services, actually.
Well, there you
Best
have
brands
it.
to buy.
Yes,
Of
course, that's us.
And that's who we voted for.
Staying.
Everyone.
Okay, interesting. Consent agenda items. We have a couple of minutes to approve.
I'd like to speak to one item on the consent agenda, if I might. I don't, not to dissuade or persuade in any one direction, but it's more a point of information for this group. But it's, E3. We've been blessed to have a behavioral specialist. Okay, I gotta tell you, it's been a coup. And I think I told Val this, when I was first coming here, I saw that was something that was in our integrated plan, was to hire a behavioral specialist. I thought, hey, good, yeah, me too. Schools can't afford behavioral specialists, okay? I mean, I was trying to get that type of service in Winston 20 years before. It's just almost a possibility. I say that because we're blessed to have Erin. She's done good work for us. And it's going to create an opening for services that we need filled still. But when we post it, I'm not going to be posting it as a behavioral specialist because that's just not realistic. We need to post a position to have somebody do some of the work we need to have done. But if we post behavioral specialist, that's a very specific job title and certification that we won't get. I just want you to know that. So if you guys are looking for behavioral specialists, a month from now, you won't see it posted as behavioral
The
specialist.
exciting part is that Joe is gonna apply for that position.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted you to know about that.
Great, this is nice.
What else was Erin doing for us? She had 2 jobs, didn't she? Or was
She's
she?
coaches too, but, no, she's just behavioral specialist full time, yeah.
She was the one who worked for ESD and then they stopped the funding and we had it in our budget to go ahead and keep her through the end of the year at least, so.
Yes, we had a 3-year grant and they paid for 2.5 years.
Okay, that was what it was. I knew there was something with her.
All right, so any questions on any of the consent agenda items? Kathy and James are getting new titles there.
More hats, different, pretty hats.
Same hats, different words.
Bigger hats.
New company car.
I did not have a chance to look at the minutes.
I reviewed them.
You did? Okay.
Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
I move we approve the consent agenda items. Do them all at once.
Yep. Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Is everyone? Perfect. That's a bit of a chunk. Okay, now Leah's up.
Okay. So, we're gonna talk about the revenue and expenditure report first. Please, Donna. So as we are closing out this year, one of the changes that always happens this time of year is we find out how much we are gonna be either paying or getting back for our May state school fund reconciliation. So this year, we are going to be owing 21,000. So,
Really?
yes, and the main reason, because it's always based on our enrollment from the prior year. And what happened was that in March, the end of March, we had 226 kids. We always have budget set at 225, and usually we can and that's the last time where I can let the state know, hey, I'm gonna know some changes to make the changes. Pretty much we have till the end of March. And then we just kind of write out the year. We just happened to lose 14 kids from March to June.
Wow.
Usually I always can kind of anticipate 5, 6 kids. We just had a couple big families moved to Arizona. So we just and there's nothing we can really do about it until and knowing it's coming and knowing that, hey, I know I'm gonna probably owe something, depending on a few things. So we're still going to though get back, we still have 605,000 coming for the remainder of the state school fund. So it's just gonna come out. So right now we're gonna have 27,000 pretty much short for budget from what we adopted to what we're going to be receiving. And that. The good news is that our federal forest fees got reinstated. And so we already got 48,000 from the previous 3 years that they had an error. But we should be receiving in the next month our federal forest fees. Nobody has any idea how much we're gonna get, any idea. Normally, we get 25,000 a year. That was always, previously, every year we got 25. I have no idea if we're gonna continue that or if we're going to have an increase. So pretty much they said they can't anticipate anything. They're just gonna get us a notice and we'll know then that that's gonna be our new payment going forward for the next few years. So hoping that those two can kind of offset each other. That's kind of the goal. So speaking of still budget, we're budgeting, if you go all the way down to the bottom, right there, perfect. So your total right there is saying 2.4 million. We are currently setting our budget at 2.5. Hoping that that's what we'll roll into the next year we'll start with. So pretty much you can see that, right now you're anticipating a little bit short. But what I know that our encumbrance is, I've got them really kind of set high. But when you're looking at from here until June, unless an emergency happens or a flood happens, you know, you leave that in there, but you've got some 50,000 to play with, but it's usually for emergencies or anything that comes up that's kind of unanticipated. So you're like, okay, we're still gonna make our budget rolling over for the next school year. That is kind of how we're doing big picture wise. One of the other changes that we always look at in the beginning of the year, we always kind of have our funds. So you scroll, yeah, keep going. That's, yeah, perfect. There. Is that we look at our transfers, right? That go in, so we take some money from our general fund and we transfer it over to our cafeteria fund. We transfer it to the curriculum fund. You've got your software fund, unemployment, debt service, which no longer has any debt, so usually we're good there, and capital improvement. So what, you can pass this around, the numbers on, actually, on the, we'll pull up the transfers on that. I'll just point to it on here, on the, agenda. Sure. Yeah, this one. So that's what getting passed around. If you pass that one around, is that when we're looking at transfers, we'll scroll down, up to the top. What we're gonna do. So this is what we budgeted to transfer over was 80,000, and then I'm gonna recommend that we transfer only 60,000 into the cafeteria fund, leaving that ending balance of our cafeteria fund is going to be around that 66,000 mark. And I'm saying that because we're only allowed 3 months of expenses in this account. Or then we have to do a special report that's like 10 pages long and it's not that fun to do. So we try to not go over, leave, when they look at our ending balance, they say, well, hey, how come you have more than 3 months of expenses? What are you gonna do with it? And you have to do a long, big report. So that's why I don't want to, I'd like to save that 20,000 and it will go roll over into the next year. That makes sense? So, so that's the cafeteria fund. So that's why it's got what we budgeted, because we were trying to plan where we were at. But as we're coming in, how much we've actually received we've received a lot more from the state. And we're still gonna get another, what month are we in, May? We'll get another 50,000 from them. So, and then you've got curriculum fund. We wanted to budget 85. I recommend putting in 75, leaving that balance going into next year at 88. And then I have a next year's budget to go and have more money going in. So that way we'll go in. I usually like having this number around 100,000 always in that fund just for, but I know next year we're gonna have, I think, science. You've got a few, just giving you guys the options. If you are gonna go ahead and buy new books, it's usually 30,000 to do so for one program, but then you have the ability to. So that one you'll save 10,000 here. PERS is gonna just kind of always the only revenue going in is the interest that the money makes in that account. Software fund, which is the new fund we created this year. We were thinking of starting at 40,000. I'm thinking it'd be better to start with 30,000 and we would save 10,000 there. And then unemployment, we wanted 25, because again, we're still trying to figure out what our costs were with that. I think we only need to put in 10, leaving this account around 50 would be kind of perfect for every year. Some years might be more, less, but so that would always be kind of your, safety net. So then that would save then 15, your debt service. So this just came to my attention last week. Yeah. The federal government helps us with the interest on our debt payments. This payment came in way late. So, and we had already paid off our loan. So now we have an extra 5,000 in there. And I've actually have an email out to our auditor, but they're a bit busy with tax season. So to ask what we need to do, if I need to, because normally you don't transfer money out of your debt service. It all goes into pay through your debt. But now that we're debt free, it's really, I don't know how bookkeeping wise to transfer it out is hard to do. So, I asked the auditor what they want me to do with that. You might have to just leave it until we have debt. And that's an option, and then we just have that money that sits in that account. One option. The other option is that they'll let me show me how they want me to show this in the books to go through. Or if they want me to say, hey, it has to be a board action. So if that's the case, then I'll have you guys, we'll write that up and have you be part of a board action, So that's in the works right now for that. And then capital improvement fund, we wanted to put in 100, leaving that at 100,000. So we budgeted actually 330,000 to go towards our different funds. But really, I'm recommending only do 275 so that 55,000 stays in the general fund and rolls over for next year. With some of the increases for next year, and that we're not getting much from, and I'll go over all this in our budget meeting. We're not going to be getting a lot from the feds more. We're not going to be getting more from the state. So just the anticipated extra expenditures for next year and even the next couple of years that we're going to see, that this would be a good to do it this way. So it's already in the budget, so it doesn't have to be a board action. I'm not asking for more. It's just saying, hey, this is what you guys, letting you guys know the information that this is the plan. If you guys want to discuss it or let me know, hey, I want to do this instead, you can't. The thought. Any questions?
If you leave the 5,800 in the debt service
Yeah.
fund, it won't draw interest, I would assume. Is that correct?
No, it doesn't make enough to make it
Worthwhile.
transfer every interest.
And the
But it
general
will
fund,
earn interest,
the general fund, it draws interest, yes?
general fund and your capital improvement. This, because it's such a big amount between this and your general fund, it's about 20,000 a month. And then 15, it's like, 14,000 goes into, the general fund. And then 6,000-ish usually every month I'm transferring over to the capital improvement fund because it's the interest. And it's about 5%.
That's pretty good. Money market, it's a money market.
No, we're not allowed to play with it. It's a special account that we have. It's the taxpayers' money. You can't earn so much interest on it, but it's a special account for money that is for state. That is considered public funds. What else? So I touched on the May payment, budget, fund transfers. A budget update was, we've got a meeting May 6th. Got the budget, after the budget to the printers, and it always changes the day we send to the printers first. Was finding out that people need, and then we'll get that back. Should be Tuesday next week, and then we'll get it out to you guys to review, and we'll have our budget meeting. And so that's budget. Insurance. We had one. So Joe and I had a meeting with an insurance agency today. Right now, our agent's record is a Leslie Insurance. And so Rob, what he does is helps us with our pace. And so he's our insurance agent of record. If we have an issue, we call our insurance agent. He guides us as to what we need to do. He keeps track of all mostly it's pace reviews, everything pace. And you guys know our pace invoice has went from the last 3-4 years, it went from 55,000. I'm anticipating it being 115.
Yeah.
So big increases in insurance. Oh,
Why?
One-
Because they can.
because you get insurance. No. And I've been trying to find different ways
Yeah.
of how to make this, our case, for example. Maybe creative, just trying to think of all the angles.
Chart on this, actually, yes.
Yeah,
So it's like,
it's just crazy.
Because it's just as.
yeah, to see.
We're just talking more.
So, but, you say, so we had a different agency come in and I was curious of what services they could provide us to help us with this cost. If there was any other way that we aren't looking at that our other agent is not letting us know. And he gave us some creative ways we could. And so Joe and I are just discussing whether or not we want to change our agent of record. Because we've had this one for, I think, probably 12 years. Not longer, and sometimes we have one for so long. We might not always fit. Those that get rolled over already.
One of the things that struck me about this particular agent we currently have is when Leah was really trying to find solutions, she invited him here to like look at the grounds and really walk through some stuff, and all he did was find more things. And our actual costs went up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Way to work for us.
seriously. And in fairness, it needed updating. It was that out of date, but still, once again, that's a different strike. I mean, those are two strikes in my book. And so anyway, sorry.
Yeah, so we're still discussing, we kind of have to make a decision soon because we just got our PACE renewal information Thursday, Friday last week, and we have usually a couple weeks to get that done. And so I guess any thoughts on that?
So let me give it a little more. So we paid Zalessi about $14,000.
14% is.
14%, that's right.
Yeah.
So about $100,000 a year, that's $14,000. Right?
And that was standard rate from PACE.
Yeah.
So one of the things, and this is what the agent, which is nice, because I don't know insurance, I'm not an insurance agent, but I need someone who knows. Is that once we hit that threshold of 100,000, we can actually negotiate that percentage. To be,
Go for it.
no, so he wants to negotiate that. Half that cost.
Mhm.
That would be a savings for him there, and then he explained other ways that we could, he's, without actually giving us a proposal about going around, about ways he could help us cut costs, looking at your deductible. And I know we've done that before, we went from 2,500 deductible, and 2 years ago to 5,000. And that does help, so you're looking at, but just going from 5,000 to 10,000, even, but yet you only save 4,000 in your PACE, and then like, is that really worth it? You're going to pay and you have multiple claims, but where we haven't had very many problems. So, yeah, so we are considering, I'm still talking, but we just wanted to let you guys know that we're, because you guys will do every year. Approve the
The guy that we're talking to offered 7%, like Leah said, but offered to freeze it at 7% for 5 consecutive years. And right now, it's going up double digits, actually.
Next year, and the pay is supposed to renew a 15% increase.
Is this just a dealer that deals in one type of insurance, or is it a general insurance person that you guys are working with? Like, do they deal in different types of insurance?
There was a listing, I don't know if he specializes, this guy specializes in this in school,
Public
public.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because do we have any other forms of insurance that the school carries? I mean, is that the only insurance that the school carries?
Well, okay, so PACE, we get PACE, okay, which is the majority of the insurance actually.
Yeah.
But he's an insurance carrier that we work with for that, so that's why he gets that little bit off the top.
Sure.
That's, this other entity would do as well, but it would just be a smaller piece. PACE is where we spend most of our money,
Right.
or most of our costs.
I was just wondering if we dealt with two different insurance agents in totality in the school system. Is he the only one we deal with? The only insurance agent?
Zalesny?
Yeah.
Currently is.
Oh,
That's
okay.
kind of he works with everybody in our district.
Yeah.
And so they're putting they're gonna be opening a Roseburg office. They currently are in,
Junction City.
yeah, Junction City. I'm still looking into. Good job. So we're hoping that he can help us to. Keep this hospital over to us. Oh,
So. Seeing here, right, we spend $130,000 in insurance every year. I mean, do we really make that many claims on our insurance? Because I'm
So-
assuming that's when.
So our actual.
Other
when you think-
agents
when
are
you think
gonna
of
help
insurance
us,
claims,
right?
when you think of insurance claims, the type you're thinking about, no, we don't. The place that we use our insurance the most actually is in legal,
Okay.
okay? And that's with PACE, okay? So over the course of the last, I don't know how many years it's been, 4 or 5? Is it 4? 4 years, $267,000 in legal with PACE, okay? We're basically one
One person.
person, yeah. But, and so thank goodness for that, okay? But, I mean, if you pull that out of the mix, you know, yeah, it'd be like, why are we paying this money?
But I think just that, so all the schools are in PACE, which is just kind of a big pool that we're all in. Except you got Portland Public is its own, they cover their own insurance. Which is kind of,
That's not paying off on right now.
yeah, I mean, now, and so all these new claims have come out and they just paid out, PACE just paid out a claim for 20 million. One, so they're getting hit in pretty hard, with some cases right now. And so that's kind of why,
Jim Mayfield.
that was also a reason, most of these are just,
There are older cases that, are just now finally being finalized, yeah, and some of them have been years old, and they're just coming to light and they're being awarded. And the guy was saying there's a bunch of them, it's just a bunch of them. So the insurance company's getting mad at passing the savings on to us.
They do.
and then last one, I guess, is voucher report, if you had any questions.
I did not.
I didn't go through it and understood. How there was some stuff that came out of grants or. Oh, I have a question. Nothing to see my. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah, for all your good work.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Read our enrollment report, June 29, see what happens.
Sounds like there's one kid that will be unenrolled. There sounds like there's one kid that will be unenrolled because of a vacation.
Oh, right, okay, I'm with you now, yes, yeah. But we'll be re-enrolled.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
It's wild.
So, yeah, so these have been pretty constant, but it's starting to taper off a little bit. 229.
Right,
Still over that 225. So,
I don't think we have any action items at this point. Yeah. I do we need to go into a brief executive session. And
this one you said I could leave?
yeah, you can leave unless you want to talk about the announcements at all.
Actually, no, let me just take a look at it real fast. Have a health fair on the 23rd, which that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Is that discovery your date as well?
It is, yeah, it's in conjunction with the Discovery University.
What time does that start?
It should be, 1:45.
Will I be in the gym?
Yeah.
And we can come.
Yeah.
I might come.
Yeah, we have the prom on the 16th. FFA banquets on the 30th. They sent out a bunch of trifold flyers. Did you guys give me those? I said that they mail them out to the community. Trifold flyers about the FFA banquet.
I haven't seen one.
We probably got put them out today, because we should mail it Thursday.
Oh, okay. Okay, so they're coming.
Next time I'll get.
Hopefully.
And that's from all the way up to the port.
That's what it used to be in Winston. You mail something in Roseburg, you go to United. Now, how much you guys have the executive session?
All right, well, thank you, Joe.
Well, that's. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Joe. And I will definitely see everybody on Thursday. And Donna, I'll connect to you about some of the communication stuff in the office. Okay.
Sometimes.
Nice
dance.
Oh, right.
You go to executive session?
I second.
Moved to second, all in favor. Perfect. Okay, there we go.
Just a question, normally we have it on there why we are going to executive session, or doesn't matter, do we have to state it before?
I was thinking we might have to state it.
So that's what I'm wondering too.
Yeah.
What would it be to not let them know, like, what would we say?
I'd say it would probably be the same that we normally do, right? Seek out the, so because we were talking about him being unemployed guys.
Yes, but
Oh, I would say the same that we.
Yeah. Yes, I would do it the same. And then how do we mute it?
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
oh,
And that's the week of 4th.
yes, so Teacher Appreciation Week is May 4th through the 7th. Of course, Cinco de Mayo falls in there. We normally do a lunch, and in the past, we've done what, the potatoes? We've done the loaded baked potatoes.
May, what is it again?
The week, the 4th through the 7th.
And I don't know, are there other dates that have been chosen by there's others who usually do some things, right?
yeah. I haven't heard anything because even Joe asked me today, during our meeting, if the board was doing it. And I said, yeah, I know we talked about it last board meeting about doing it.
So I guess if nobody's heard anything, we can pick our date first. How about that?
You know, so that's it. We're gonna apply for a Ford family grant for $1,000 for these to do a teacher appreciation. Okay. That's why I came up, because
So they're gonna support foundations buying the stuff?
yeah, they reached out to us and asked if we wanted $1,000 for, we said, Joe asked, are we doing anything? I said, just say yes.
Just like how,
Okay.
We'd love $1,000.
Right? Yes. So, is there a day we want to do it? And do we want to do the same thing or do we want to do something different this year?
I just like editing. It'll move this kind of thing, but, it works for anybody else. So I actually am,
I'm gonna be gone.
I'm like,
Oh, you're gone that week.
weirdly open that week, too. I think I've forgotten something.
No, wait, I'll be back on the thing, so yeah, mostly gone.
She'll be back the 6th.
Hmm.
I'm booked all day Thursday, so.
See how you're gonna be.
So last time we brought stuff.
Yeah, somebody cooks the potatoes, somebody does the onions or chili, whatever, I guess.
But if we're gonna have $1,000, how's that gonna, I mean, so are we gonna spend $1,000 on
That's
food?
$1,000, because teacher appreciation week, we just take one day and they do things for them the other days.
Oh, I
It's
see.
not really like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We don't really have
we're gonna do the same thing. One of us gonna
Yeah.
do something, all right.
And we work with the charter board too, so, yeah, board appreciation day. So, I would prefer not to do Wednesday, just because we usually have other stuff going on, so.
Wednesdays, board budget meeting presentation.
On the 6th? Well, I didn't make it to the calendar yet. What time's that?
6:00. He says,
Budget meeting.
he said something. Yeah, right.
I'm gonna forget something for sure.
Yeah, because our next board meeting is actually 11th, correct?
Correct.
All right.
This is enough.
So it's
But I absolutely.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, believe me. You have no idea what's happening in my house, so yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
I told you I was talking about when you saw it.
You're right.
I would say the 7th. Can we lock in 7th, Thursday?
Right, the 7th works for me,
May 7th.
May
Does that work
7th.
for everybody else?
Yeah.
What time?
What time?
Well, usually their lunches, don't we have it ready by like 11? I think so. 11 or 11:30. Do 11 something to like 1.
So bring stuff down at.
Make sure
somewhere
it's
at
there.
10 o'clock,
Yeah, let's have stuff there by 10.
food at 10.
And I'll put it on my calendar, so 10.
Somebody
Sometimes if you
call
have,
and-
or if you have signed up or something, you can like just bring it in the morning, put it in the fridge. Yeah. If you're just coming back from vacation, you're busy.
Yeah, it's going back.
We'll just do something. So 10 a.m.
Yes, in the past, it's been 11 to 1:30 is what I've had it in my calendar
Yeah.
for, so.
So we just need a list of the different foods that we can select from.
Yes, and there's an email that's gone out. And I don't think Laura or I really want to volunteer to head this up based on what our schedules look like. But Laura, you want to do it? Big no. Oh,
About wedding and graduation.
yes, you do. I know.
And this is for a figure on, for how
I
many,
might be,
how many people are we figuring for?
Okay, how about if I get the email out and get everybody on board with food to bring? I can't guarantee decorations because that is not my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
We didn't decorate last time, did we? Did we
we put
take?
some flowers out, or some people.
Oh, that's right. Somebody had
It's not a
some.
big
Maybe
deal.
we'll do something, and maybe somebody will sign up for that. So
Somebody-
I'll find the email from last year and make it happen.
You said May 7th, I'm letting Joe know, or forget. May
Okay.
7th, the
Teacher appreciation, that's what I'm looking for.
by the name.
Yeah, yeah, that's, and how many people again?
Like 50, I think is what we planned
Okay,
for.
last time I thought.
We never get that many.
For me, but I'll get ready.
We never get that many. I would think if we planned for 35, we'd probably be
Yeah.
fine. But
You guys doing the potato bar?
Yeah.
You want to do that? Sure, I mean, we're good at it.
They all seem to look.
Yeah, if you do, and then it's like, gluten-free people are good, they can get what they need, like vegetarian people are good, they can grab what they need, and it works.
yes.
I think last time I brought shredded cheese and sour cream. And I didn't have enough because I thought my wife had, I bought extra, my wife asked me how many, and I was like, I don't know, she goes, well, there'll probably be like 20 or 25 people there. And it turned out there was close to 50. So Laura had kind of backed me up, because she said, I don't think that's gonna be enough. So, I can do that again because I can get the right amount.
So you want,
I'll do sour cream and shredded cheese.
okay,
Do you want me to make note of this stuff already? Are you kidding me?
I'll write notes and I will let you know.
That way.
I found the email, so that's exciting.
That way you don't have to worry about me, that's what I'll bring. I'll get it ahead of time.
Do you guys want me to bake the potatoes again, or somebody else really want to? I'll do the potatoes.
Laura's got it nailed.
We need butter.
Last year, butter, sour cream, cheese, and bacon bits was Clint. Just saying, Todd brought cooked ground beef or sausage.
Oh, did I?
That's what I'm seeing.
So I
Unless
think
I
it was
have to-
the, I think it was the breakfast, the staff breakfast at the beginning of this year the.
Oh, you're right. So what did I bring last year?
Cooked beef or sausage.
Okay, I can bring that instead. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
cooked beef or something.
Shredded cheese.
Oh, you're right. I brought sausage, I brought both. I brought, sausage and, ground beef. You're right. That's right. Okay, cooked.
Somebody brought venison.
Yeah, I think I might have brought some venison.
Okay, so do you think Clint will be up for, what did Clint do?
Clint did the butter, sour cream, cheese, and bacon bits.
Cream cheese or sour? My brain.
Sour cream and cheese and bacon bits and butter.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Now, we no longer have a Charlie Sawyer who did roasted broccoli and sauteed onions. Not my wheelhouse.
Okay, so let's go Clint, sour cream and shredded cheese. Just tell him. And then you wanna do butter and bacon bits?
Sure.
Or did you want the sour cream and
Or
cheese?
do you want sour cream? Sour cream and cheese or butter and bacon bits?
I would do the sour cream and cheese.
Okay,
I have
so
it written down.
Charlie has that. And so Clint, let's put him on butter and bacon bits.
Okay,
And Todd has
I got the meat.
meat.
I got the beef.
okay. And then in the past, we've had fresh fruit or a fruit salad, a green salad, drinks, an allergy-friendly dessert. I did a dessert last year, which I may be able to pull off. Paper products and floral centerpieces.
Oh, so the charter board also has to be.
Yes, they do.
So
Yep.
let's leave,
Yep.
let's leave the salads and the fruits
And the veggies.
and then, yeah,
Mhm.
the charter.
And Donna, not to make this tough on you, but can you send out a reminder, just so,
And I
In
can,
email?
Valerie's gonna send out your
an
sign up
email?
email.
Okay,
yeah, so I'm gonna do a little.
Laura's gonna help me and then,
Yeah.
yeah,
okay.
we got this.
I'll do the potatoes and chili, and then if nobody signs up or something, let me know.
Last year, I see this little note. We have a grant from the Ford Foundation this year to reimburse personal expenses for the teacher appreciation luncheon. If you would like to be reimbursed, please save your receipts and contact someone.
And
next year, let's do money that did that.
last year, than having to put two research.
But still, do we have to get reimbursed from you if we so desire? Do they? Okay, so should I leave that on the email to see, Leah, if you'd like reimbursement?
I'd like to be reimbursed.
Okay, perfect. Perfect, okay. And if I recall, we left people like Anna Rickards, she's the president of the charter board, right? But she's also a teacher, so doesn't seem right to do teacher appreciation. Kathy participates, she's an administrator.
Rebecca.
Okay,
We might not have a lot of help, but we'll get it done.
we'll get it done. At least we have a date, we got it, yeah, we got it. Okay, and I sent myself the email so that I'll remember to. Yeah. Any other director reports? I already did announcements, there's no public input. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Let's go.
Are we supposed to invite Joe back in?
No, I told him. he
If we
could
got, who
go
was
home.
gonna go.
Yeah.
I might check.
I was like, he's not saying that.
Oh, and so we're gonna do it at the end of the meeting, so
We're
that you
done.
don't have to stick around, you can still come.
Could probably, this or plan.
Probably not, but
I can't believe they put stuff like this in, and that they deliver the stuff, or,
Yeah,
it's pretty political.
somebody has time.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming with the ice cream party.
You're welcome.
I know how capable and amazing you are.
I
I can't even function at that hour. Are you kidding me? I can't, George. Literally, you don't have me at that hour. Yeah. It's not pretty. Okay.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you. Have a good night. Oh, so that's doing the.
That was weird that,
Yeah, that was really weird.
yeah.
Well, Cheryl was asking if he calls too, and I said, I don't know, but I came back to asking him, maybe you should call him. I don't know, she, I don't.
Yeah, call.
Oh. Listen.